Tonight we talk about the top 10 technologies that have or will have impacted humanity in one way or another on the Twisted 10.
That's the one right now.
And welcome to another episode of the Twisted 10.
What's up, gentlemen?
Jenna, he said it again.
I know. I'm going to make it stick.
You're going to make it sticky?
Hey.
Anyway, thank you for tuning in to the Twisted 10. Let's introduce ourselves. I'll go last because, I'm the host today. Ron, say hi.
Hi, I'm Ron.
Is it going to be that kind of night?
It's going to be that kind of night.
I think it is.
Yeah.
And I'm Josh over here on this other comfortable
Lord
piece of furniture.
Wilson.
Lord Wilson. Oh, we haven't talked about that in a while.
I know, I just like calling you that. I wish somebody called me anything but my name.
You can do it for $40.
I want a different name though.
Lord Ron?
Can I be like a squire?
You need to be king, like King Ron. That'd be appropriate for you.
I want to be something low, like some kind of peasant. Jester Ron. Hey, I can juggle.
You're halfway there.
Yep.
And you can almost tell jokes and be funny. So
almost, yeah.
Just work on it a little
I'd
bit.
be the court idiot, the court jest.
I guess my title is technically Lord of the Manor, Wilson. You can be like Jester of the Manor.
Jester
I could
of the
bestow
Manor.
that unofficial title on you.
Well, my name is Adam, and I'm the Manor.
What?
Huh?
Lord of the Manor, Jester of the Manor. I'm the Manor. Anyway, now I'm your host tonight.
Wow, that might be the worst joke you or I have ever told.
There you go. Let me make sure we time that one for you.
There you go.
All right. Timing is everything.
You have to give your own jokes.
I give my own crickets.
Yeah, exactly, because you have control.
Oh, now welcome to the show. It's we are recording on a Thursday night again, so sorry about the delay this week, guys. That's on me. But hey, when the big boss asks you to drive to 2.5 hours away, you kind of gotta do it. So
Yeah.
It's cool. I got a good chance to see Boca. Boca Raton is basically
Boca Raton, you fucking Raton, baby.
The only time we do an accent I don't mean to. No, it's basically north, just barely north of Miami, Fort Lauderdale area, and I'm driving around, and I've got a Buick. So, all right, my SUV is not bad. For me, it's the highest class vehicle I've ever owned.
It's super nice.
It's an Enclave. It's really cool. Anyway, I'm driving this thing through fucking streets of Boca Raton. Whatever.
Yeah, you're the shittiest car on the road over there.
I am. Dude, there's the BMW, the $175,000 BMW sports car, whatever the fuck that thing is. Is that what it is?
Yeah, so nice.
There's Lambos. There's, what do you call the fucking SUV? The Land Rovers, every breed.
Range Rovers and stuff?
Yeah, Range Rovers. Mm-hmm. Fucking driving around, I'm like, God damn, I've got insurance, but I don't want to hit any of these motherfuckers.
There's a lot of old rich money in Boca, man. That's where like some of the richest older retired people go to retire is Boca to try and get a place in Boca. It's actually, you talk about kind of short inventory. For decades, when you're trying to get like retire with a condo in Boca, that's actually like waiting list kind of shit.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, trying to get into that place.
So
they even make a joke about
die.
that in Seinfeld. That's how long that's been a thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Seinfeld, Josh, is this TV show set in the... Never mind.
I've seen Seinfeld.
Have you? All right.
Wait, the person or the show?
The show.
Yeah, I've seen Seinfeld. This is really old guy with gray hair.
I would actually...
My favorite Seinfeld interview is the one on Larry King.
What's the Netflix show? Comedians in cars getting coffee. It's
Comedians
on
in cars drinking coffee. I was talking about that show with a friend today. Phenomenal show.
Fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Oh, God, it's so good.
Because I got bored of the, what's the late night talk show guy that does the karaoke or whatever he does. He goes and sings with all these big stars, like he's in there with
the English
Gwen
guy.
Stefani. Yeah,
you're talking about
like kind of chunky.
I don't remember his name, but I know who you're talking about. He hosted the Friends reunion.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yes.
Friends, Josh, is
I've watched all of Friends, sir.
Yeah.
Sir.
Interesting topic. Me and my daughter were talking about this, and it's interesting. Like my kids' age, they know Friends inside and out. They know that show. They know the characters.
Really?
Chelsea actually watches that show. Seinfeld, what the fuck is a Seinfeld?
Same
no
time
clue.
They came out too.
Came out at the same time, and
different audience.
Seinfeld might have even been a tad more popular than Friends. However, One was, you know what I mean?
Highbrow.
One carried, like one holds up, if
Friends
you
is,
will.
yeah, Friends is still
When
funny.
I watch Friends, it still makes me laugh my ass off. I still think it's hilarious. And even though I was a way bigger Seinfeld back in the day, when I watch it now, I'm like, whatever. You know, it doesn't. It's like it was funny back in its day, but it just didn't hold up like Friends does. I should say.
I guess I haven't watched a Friends episode since, well, I don't know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah,
it's been forever since I've watched
It's on HBO
one.
Max too, so.
I got to watch it
To get HBO Max.
Oh, you don't have
different-
HBO Max?
Yeah.
Holy shit, you're missing out.
at different ages. And that's what makes Friends so fascinating to me. I related to the characters very differently when I was 20 than I did most recently when I was like 30, a couple years ago. I watched it. Like, and like it's so bizarre to watch. I was like, I am definitely like, I don't know, kind of Ross, kind of Joey, kind of an idiot, right in the center of everything. Now, Chandler, all day long.
Yeah.
You know,
all day long.
It's interesting you talk about that. You guys remember I did the posters episode a few weeks ago.
Fucking love it.
Yeah,
Yes, that's still
one of the posters
that may
was-
be one of my top 10 lists. Now. It's such a good episode.
It was fun. That was a fun episode. One of the one of the shows that I grew up with, or one of the topics in there was 90210, like I said, and I started with it in the year they went through high school. Like when they were in 10th grade, I was in 10th grade. When they were 11th grade,
cool.
it was pretty funny. Didn't start watching it until after high school, though, when I started dating my daughter.
Well, thank God.
My daughter. My wife. That came out wrong. When I started dating my wife, she got me into it. Yeah, that came out wrong.
I think I got rid of that sound effect. Oh, damn it. That's...
What sound effect did we need? Oh, yeah. That was not a joke. That was an accident.
Damn, my
also-
joke was going to be worse than
was not a
Ron slip
Freudian
to
slip.
daughter. Yeah, my joke was mine was going to be like, and you outlive Screech. So, and you guys are the same age. So, good job.
Ooh.
Too soon?
A little soon. That was
Too
only like a
soon?
couple months ago.
I mean,
Screech?
Screech was a guy. I knew I could tell. Josh has no idea who Screech was.
Dustin Diamond.
Dustin Diamond. Screech was a character on Saved by the Bell.
Yeah,
When I wake up in the morning, my alarm is out of... Okay, sorry, I won't sing the whole thing.
I appreciate that. Or just go with it. Run with it.
No,
Well,
nobody wants to hear that.
I guess my condolences to that guy's family. I don't know who he is. So
He played
You don't know who
the
Screech is? Do you know what the show Saved by the Bell is? Have you heard of that
Yes.
show? Have you watched even one episode of that show?
I honestly don't think I ever have.
Wait,
Okay.
let me draw him a parallel.
Fair
Hang
enough.
on. Let me draw him a parallel. Do you know who Steve Urkel is?
Yes.
Okay. This is the white version of Steve Urkel,
got it.
basically. He's the nerdy character in Saved by the Bell. Yeah, basically, that's Screech,
Cool.
but a different sitcom. That's basically what it is.
So Family Matters held through, and apparently Saved by the Bell didn't. But I don't think that's true because they're even making new Saved by the Bells now.
Yeah, they've got a whole new cast. It's a.
I think the character Urkel held up in pop culture better than Screech apparently did. Because Urkel,
well, he didn't
must
have a
be just
catchphrase.
bigger
Screech
character.
didn't have like a catch. He didn't have a gimmick. He was just nerdy.
He had a face.
He had a face, but how do you portray a face? And no,
Not
if you
in-
make that face,
not in audio.
I don't think Urkel
Hey,
immediately.
guys, everybody listen really close, okay?
Oh, they got it. I think they heard it.
Did you guys hear the Screech
You guys,
face?
you guys hear that face he just made?
All right.
Oh, God, what are we even talking about tonight? God, is there any way you're going to be able to segue this
went down
into
the
your
rails.
show at all?
Impossible. I have been looking for the littlest hint
Sweet,
towards what
man.
my list is tonight, and not a fucking iota. And when
Well,
I explain it to you, you'll hear why.
Lucky for you, maybe Josh will be able to help you with that because I
I'll
think
say-
he has some stuff to
I'll
talk
just
about.
I'll just smash cut right here.
Good. Yeah.
So before you take the list, just want to kick it out. Big thank you to the Twisted Council for you guys supporting the show.
Thank you.
You guys are awesome.
Hear ye, hear ye. Sorry.
So we'll see you guys in the after show. If you want to find out what that's about, go to twist10.com. Some information right on the center of the screen. And thank you to those listening on the live stream right now. You guys rock in Discord. We live stream the show usually Tuesday nights. Tonight's Thursday night, like Adam mentioned. But yeah, stream we start right around 8:30. But if you want the link to that, it's on the website. It's free. Twist10.com. Go check it out.
Nice. I should have just hit that throughout your whole thing.
Ding 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 ding.
It's our own show. We have to plug in our own shit.
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
Apparently. Apparently we do. All right. So last episode, Josh did a episode about a topic that he had picked a while ago, and then it slowly manifested into something different as he developed
It
a list.
transformed.
His list was on like the top 10 most expensive homes, and then it shifted into, well, fuck that, they're all too similar and all too close to each other. It's the top 10 dream homes of Josh's. That's really what it turned into.
So, yeah, that face that I made was because we recorded last week. It was last week.
And I did my really bad.
Did
did my really bad Robin Leach impression throughout. The rich and famous.
You haven't worked on it, I can tell.
Did you guys know? And I just want to, just before you start your list.
Yeah.
My next top 10 list, I've been doing stuff for that list for like 10, 11 shows now.
These are top 10 ways to masturbate.
No, I meant in our shows.
Really?
Yes.
So you're going to go back and pull from them or something?
No. Just wanted to let you guys know. I've been dropping hints and putting little bits and pieces into show for weeks and weeks now.
Do you know what it's like when a girl builds up a guy so much that it gets him to the point where he's got blue balls because he's anticipating it so much?
I was trying to figure out where you were going with that.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What your teaser just didn't do that for me at all because it's
vague. It doesn't.
You guys remember the
now.
last 10 shows? Yeah, there's something I said in every show.
You're gonna remember. You're gonna remember this when I unleash the show, and you're gonna be like, "Damn! Now I know what he was talking about."
So it's not just some subtle hint in the background like John Holmes.
You'll see.
It's not like some random drop in the show. It's something pointed in the show.
Interesting.
Yeah, you'll see.
God damn it! Now he's got my curiosity.
But let's not. I didn't want to, be a total attention hog. This is Adam's night.
Wasn't enough
It's
detail.
Adam's
I wanted
show.
more. I wanted more detail.
Can't give you any more. This is Adam's show, Adam's night, and let's
Well, my
see.
list sucks now compared to that build-up. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. All right.
Why? You really know how to sell it.
No, it doesn't. So I've worked on this list for quite some time as well, and it originally started out as one thing, and then it manipulated a little bit as well. So tonight's list, I teased you guys in Discord, just in our hosts-only lounge, and I put a quote. I said, this week we're, quote, getting technical. That's all I left. That's all that I put in there. And you guys didn't even respond to it or anything. So
I didn't know how to respond. I knew it was, obviously some kind of hint. I just didn't know where to go with it.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to respond either. I did see it though.
I like Josh used the word semantics. So I'm wondering, when you said getting technical at first, I thought, like electronics type.
Yeah.
You looked at it more as in, well, technically speaking.
I have argued semantics with Adam so many fucking times.
I'm a little scared of that because
life.
Adam's is a semantic motherfucker.
God. And he's so good at it.
Yes,
good at arguing or good at the semantic details?
Both, and it makes it very challenging. You're a really hard person to debate. Fuck, dude.
Am I really?
Yes,
I'll
dude.
take that as
you
a
are
compliment.
hard to debate, man. You're
tough.
You're
I
definitely
won't debate you in
president of the
politics
debate
anymore,
club.
but
No,
I'll
because
debate you in anything else.
none of us pay attention anymore.
Because you get your emotions wrapped in it.
I do. That's why I had to. That's why I had to quit.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I do. I'll admit it. It's a shortcoming of mine.
All right. Pulling it back in. So tonight's list, I originally started out with a conversation I was having with Andrea, and it even kind of stemmed
Who is
from
Andrea?
the show.
For those
My
who never
wife.
listen, okay.
First time listener. So it kind of stemmed from the show. We were talking about how something has progressed technologically over time. So my list had originally started out as top 10 technological advances that are, noteworthy. That's originally where my list started. But I slowly evolved my list into a split list. Tonight's split. 10 through 6 is one particular topic, and 5 through 1 is on the same vein, but more about the future as we see it now. So tonight's
this
list
doesn't count as 2 lists, by the way. You're not getting out of doing the next show because you did 2 lists in one.
It's the same theme, but projections for the future.
Okay,
so
awesome.
10 through 6 is basically top 10 or top 5 humanity affecting technology advancements. I'll come up with a better name for the title, I promise, but these are inventions, and you probably know, I know you know all of these, but you'll probably
since they've already been
guess.
invented, probably.
Yeah, but it's things that have changed humanity.
I have a guess for one of your future ones. Am I allowed to say it ahead of the, maybe
you can
after
guess,
the
but
break?
I can't tell you. Yeah.
I know you can't tell me, but I'll say
wait
after.
wait for the break.
I have a guess for one.
Okay, let's start off with number 10.
Ready.
So this is pretty easy. This is very common. Again, these are things that have shaped humanity as we know it. Not just America, not just the UK, but everywhere in the world has benefited or been affected by these inventions. And I'm going to start off with the lowest hanging fruit on the tree, the light bulb. The very common.
Are we going to argue the semantics of who actually invented the light bulb?
No, we're not.
Okay.
We're going to give some credit
Because that's like a whole thing.
Yeah, we're giving some credit to where it needs to be given. We're not here to defend either of the scientists that are involved in the entire electricity conversations and debates. No, we're not doing that. However, that would be a decent list, like top 10 rivalries of all time.
Typed in like the unknown person behind, like the other person who did Marvel, Stanley, and some dude, don't know his name. Nobody knows his name. Whoever,
because he didn't show up in all the movies.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. That kind of stuff.
What you got, Adam?
Ever since Thomas Edison's incandescent light became commercially available more than a century ago, technological advances and federal regulations have shaped lighting's path. So in this case, rules and regulations set forth by governments of the world have kind of carved how fast a piece of technology can advance. And Josh, a light bulb is no, I'm just kidding. Long before Thomas Edison patented, first in 1879, then a year later in 1880, and began commercializing his incandescent light bulb, British inventors, I'm giving some credit where other credit is due here, were demonstrating that electric light was possible with the arc lamp. In 1835, the first constant electric light was demonstrated, and for the next 40 years, scientists around the world worked on the incandescent lamp, tinkering with the filament. That's the little part that produces heat and shows off light inside that bulb. And the bulb's atmosphere, weather inside there is very important too. I'm not going to get into the details of how a fucking light bulb works, but the point is, lighting in general has evolved since roughly 1835 to where it is today, over many, many, many steps and many generational changes in lighting. In fact, this is very interesting. And the first LED was invented in the 1800s. So, but it was not exactly how LEDs are today. It was just haphazardly.
You think?
Yeah, no. But that's moving. The technological advances in lighting obviously started off with a simple light bulb and has worked its way through different styles of halogens, different styles of fluorescence, how the different lights can be illuminated either through gas or just through a burning wick or whatever the thing is called. Through LEDs, now moving into lasers and moving into, I know that's a different technology, however, it's also used for lighting, and then moving into potentially in the future some of the projections, what do you call it, the hologram style images. Those are things that are moving the lighting technology in the lighting industry. But that's the lowest hanging fruit and about the most simple of all the things that have affected humanity from a technological perspective. I will tell you, not everything technology is considered, electric or hardware or computers or stuff like that. Technology also bridges other gaps. Absolutely. All the sciences
biology,
are included in technology. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Even weaponry. I mean, explosives, TNT, that kind of stuff. All of that
nuclear weapons.
Technology. Yeah, nuclear weapons as well. 100%.
I wonder how many people they lost trying to get the arc lamp correct.
What? I'm sorry. No.
How many fingers have little black marks on them?
I get to be really stupid. The arc lamp? Sorry, I don't know what that is.
It's just exactly what it sounds like. I'm assuming.
What a fucking douche.
I know.
It's exactly what it sounds like.
I know.
Well, if I knew what it sounded like, clearly I wouldn't have asked the question since you said what it was.
It's a lamp that uses an arc of electricity to create light.
Don't they all?
It's kind of, sort of, no. An arc is a connection between 2 points that aren't physically touching.
Yeah.
A typical lamp or a light bulb has that little filament that runs through.
Okay. And I thought it had its own little arc in there. I never stared at a light bulb very hard.
Oh, man. Light bulbs are fascinating.
You're missing good times, man.
Yeah, bro.
You need to give that a shot. Especially those yellow bug lights, man. Go for those first.
That's cool.
Are you gonna tell me what what she's looking on his phone?
No, it's literally.
Jesus!
It's literally
this whole time I'm just stalling, waiting for Josh to find me the official definition.
No, that was it. It's just
fuck you twice, Josh. Go ahead, Adam. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Number 9. Do you guys want to throw guesses out for these first 5?
Yeah, why not?
All right, so number 9. This is again something that has moved the needle for humanity, and. If you guess 9 through 6, I'll tell you yes and which number it is, but I'll only focus on the one that I'm on at the time. What else do you think has shaped
radio?
Neosporin.
Communications in general is good. That is definitely important, but it didn't make my list.
Interesting.
Neosporin is an interesting one.
Television?
I'm gonna shape Neosporin into antibiotics. And
Okay.
Antibiotics. Oh, did antibiotics make my list? I made this a long time ago.
If I hadn't had so much alcohol,
no, it did.
I
That's
probably
number
would have
6.
said antibiotics, but instead I said Neosporin.
Well, I knew you were going antibiotics.
Yeah, no, I gotcha. Yeah.
The brand Neosporin, no.
I was going to say penicillin, but I figure you wouldn't go down that route because I believe Josh, although it could be, Josh put that as a top 10 discovery, if I'm not mistaken, many months ago.
Just penicillin and antibiotics have hit Twisted Ten's airwaves probably 4 times now.
All right.
Yeah,
Few times for sure.
it
So I don't
definitely
have
makes
any other guesses right now.
Yeast, fermentation. Sorry, I said yeast.
Yeast
but-
infections.
Yeast.
Yeet. Yeet infections.
So I had 2 guesses, which is yeast and fermentation, kind of hand in hand.
Oh, beer. I
Beer.
did not think to include beer.
Fermentation, it's in like its earliest form, gave us drinkable water that we could control. That was like, they're just big.
But as
all.
opposed to just putting your hand in the stream.
Yeah.
But we could
I'm
transport it.
fucking
Oh,
with you.
okay.
Yeah.
Or drinking
No,
possibly
okay.
dirty water. You know, that could make you
Transport
sick.
it. Just 2 cups. And
2 cups.
all right. Anyway, number 9, personal computers. Now, this is more of a modern advancement than the light bulb, as far back as that goes. While computing is commonplace today, history draws a very different picture. It's hard to imagine life without smartphones or credit cards or televisions or GPS or just about anything in today's society that we pass off for normal quality of life expectations. So think, I'd love fucking with my son about this because I didn't have internet as a kid at his age. Well, I guess at his age I did, but younger than him, I didn't have internet. I very rarely had access to computers. It was a totally different world 1 generation ago. Simply 1. And then beyond that, as far back as humanity goes, there's no computers at all. There's no internet. There's no technology like that.
Personal computer was such a life changer for me that I became best friends to this day with the guy who sold me the first one.
Oh, that's what
Adam looked at me like he's waiting for me to like, okay, who?
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute.
You,
Oh,
Adam, you sold me
you a
my
gateway.
first ever computer.
Alyssa, our daughter just
in the
turned 16.
fucking 90s when Josh was 4.
Alyssa just turned 16. That's my stepdaughter, and we got her a Gateway laptop.
Yeah, you told me that.
Yeah,
I
it
didn't
was
know
actually a good
Gateway was
deal.
still a computer
It's a good
company.
computer. Yeah, they still sell computers. I mean,
dude.
they're like the.
Are
I
there
don't want to say Walmart brand because that
Are they good
discredits them.
enough? Because I would love to have a Gateway just to have a fucking Gateway. I know that sounds dumb, but
Yeah, they're good.
wish I hadn't gotten rid of my original Gateway.
They don't. I mean, there's a few things you want to uninstall on any of those mass manufactured computers, but
I gotcha.
you know, it's
like
once
Windows.
you strip it. Yeah, once you strip it down to just the operating system and the applications you want, then it's just the hardware. So
I'm just
it's
getting
good
it to
hardware.
watch other people strip it down.
I get it.
Wah,
Yeah.
wah.
All right, so let's go over a little bit of the history of computers. Josh, early days of computers, do you know the mechanism that they used for computing? Because it wasn't
Talking
circuit
about punch
boards.
cards?
There you go, punch cards. That's exactly.
It's what I do for, it's what I do for a living.
Yes. When do you think, and this is a trick question, but if you know this, I'll be fucking floored. When do you think the very first punch card system, which is the earliest version of a computer-associated style, like a programming mechanism, was invented, and what was its use for?
1942 code breaking in World War II. No, I don't have that right.
You're going for
God.
the Enigma machine.
Yes,
Yeah,
damn
that
it!
thing
I
is
thought
great.
I was sweeping in with the win.
I mean,
You're way off.
oh fuck!
So
Way off.
computers.
So
they found
sometime
them
in
like
Egypt?
thousands of years ago. They found a very, very old computer,
I didn't get that
but it was
far,
like
right?
a mechanical computer that they used for basic math.
Yeah, I had
It's
heard.
actually-
I had
it's
heard
pretty
that
fucking cool.
before, but
Really?
Yeah, that's like it was like 2,000 years old. They found it like in the Mediterranean somewhere.
Wait. Are you talking about the gear mechanism that looks like a miniature grandfather clock inside? And it's used to track the astrological movements and predictions of like solar eclipses. Is that what you're talking about?
I would say yes, but that's a pretty broad description.
It's
So we'll
the
just pull it
box.
up. We'll pull it up.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we'll pull it up later.
Okay, yeah, not a problem. I think we're talking about the same thing. Yeah, you're right. I guess that would have technically been this, but more along the lines of modern punch card system to the evolution of the current computer. So that's why I tricked you. See?
That was
No.
the twist.
1801, Frenchman Joseph Marie Jacquard. Sacré bleu. You know I'm going to do it. Invented
Yes,
a
you are.
loom. You know what a loom is?
isn't that the thing with the string?
It's a room. No,
Oh.
yeah, it is a thing with a string that's meant for like weeding.
It's
back.
a room in China.
motherfucker.
Chinese aren't allowed to listen to this show. We're good.
The bedloom. All right. Anyway,
The bedloom.
Anyway, he used a punch card system in this loom to automatically weave fabrics for him. So it was the very first incantation of a punch card style
I like that word.
system.
Incantation.
Which moves, usually it's for witches. But so that's the very first one. I'm going to go through some dates here for the evolution of the computer, because the personal computer because the mainframes or supercomputers, large scale, those are in a group of their own. That kind of follows its own evolutionary path because they are uniquely different. But yeah, let's just go through this. 1822, Charles Babbage fails to invent the steam-driven calculator, also using a punch card style system. But he was a British dude that was trying to invent a steam-powered, like locomotive-style punch card computer system. Theoretically, it would work if he engineered it right, but I think he physically manufactured it poorly, and it failed to produce any kind of results.
It's like some Will Smith Wild Wild West nonsense.
100% right, yeah. So there was a lot of lessons taken away from that, but there was a big gap between the next attempt at this. 1822 all the way to 1890, this is the first real working computer. Herman Hollerith designs a punch card system to calculate the 1880 census. So the actual birth of the personal computer originated really from too many people in the United States where census couldn't count all of the information that they were gathering fast enough. So they needed a mechanism to really help calculate faster. It would take them like 7 weeks to count their census data, and it's just too long for them to be able to compile all that information.
Is it like a Scantron sort of thing? I mean, like the town put in the value in their punch card, and they just send a card in?
Yeah.
I'm just curious. That's cool.
Yeah, basically, you provide your demographics on this punch card system, and then, one run through, it'll gather all the information from, as opposed to somebody typing it in.
That's awesome.
I say typing it in, writing it down manually.
1890s, that dude was a fucking wizard.
By the way, he later established the company that would become IBM. So, there is that. He was the original, first company and I didn't write it down, but the first company he made or invented or whatever, registered, Jesus Christ, founded, thank you, was not IBM, but it later turned into IBM. All right, 1837 to 1841, we kind of took a little bit of a step backwards there, but wanted to at least bring this up. J.V. Attensoff, he's a professor of physics of mathematics at Iowa State, invents a computer without gears, belts, or cams. The computer can solve 29 equations simultaneously and store memory. So actually, that was the very first one. I put those out of order. So 1837 was that, and then 1890 was the census system for founder of IBM. All right, anyway, 1943 to 1944. So this is a pretty big jump for the next evolution. Two University of Pennsylvania professors, John Macaulay and Presper Eckert, built the Electronic Numerical Integrator and Calculator, the ENAC, considered the grandfather of digital computers. It fills a 20-foot by 40-foot room and has 18,000 vacuum tubes. That's an important statement. That's the first time they transferred from, I say first time, probably not the first, but this is the first mainstream machine that went from the punch card system to a vacuum card kind of electronic circuit system.
Man, that's wild.
All right, a criminally underappreciated invention falls in line right here. Invented in 1947, probably could be a category in this list all on its own, but it's the most important thing that was invented for computers to progress us to where we are now, out of everything ever invented. And that's a simple transistor.
The transistor.
Yeah, the transistor. Do you know what a transistor is, Ron?
I can't give you a definition.
So computers work in ons and offs, ones and zeros.
Okay.
All right. That's all that computer
Binary.
language is. Yeah, correct. I mean, there's some other ones. There's some hexadecimal stuff that's out there that, whatever. That's programming. Computers of course, everything's programming. At their fundamentals, it's on or off. That's how they work. A transistor is a piece of circuitry that literally does that through the use of an electronic circuit. It allows it to either be open or closed, meaning
Okay.
it's either on or off. So the transistor and original transistors were fairly large, like handheld-sized transistors. Transistors now are what make up microchips, your processors for your computer. Intel i7, i9 processor is like a million fucking transistors sitting on that circuit board. They're microscopic, almost nanite size at this point.
The smallest transistors now that we can functionally run are 7 nanometers. Because if you go too low, if you go lower than that, because physics breaks.
Yeah. You get into the quantum realm of what is the smallest level of measurement that physics still works at. It's called like a stage, I think, or something. It's got a bizarre name, but it's this when you get small enough down, physics just stops working.
At like a molecular level,
Below that,
smaller.
subatomic level.
Subatomic.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, much smaller than molecular.
Ant-Man sized.
Oh, gotcha.
So anyway, 1947 was the transistor invented by Bell Laboratories. Incredibly noteworthy and had to be called out in the computer section. I'm not going to read all these, but I've got a full list of dates. I'm just going to hit some of the important ones. 1958, by the way, the guy who invented the integrated circuit, or the gentleman who invented the integrated circuit, also known as a computer chip, received a Nobel Prize in 2000 for their work. That is Jack Kilby and Robert Noyce, N-O-I-C-E. Noyce.
Was that posthumous?
I don't know. That's a good question. Probably not. 1958 is when they invented the microchip, and then 2000 maybe.
It's reasonable
40
that
years.
he's alive, yeah.
Yeah, it's reasonable. The very first GUI. Ron, you know what a GUI is?
Nope.
Go ahead.
Graphical user interface.
It's like the cursor on your screen, the Windows buttons, the
okay.
layout.
The interface. You actually see it with your eyes. Okay.
That was invented by Douglas Engelbart in 1964, and the first invention of a GUI came with a mouse. He had a device to drive around the screen, which is kind of cool.
So he really invented Windows.
Kind of. Maybe he should sue.
I'm just kidding.
1970, brand new company on the market. They released the Intel 1103, the first dynamic access memory chip, or DRAM chip. Why that's important, Ron, is this is the first chip that can be erased and rewritten to. So before it was either you got this much room. Once you fill it up, you're fucking done.
Yeah.
Or you swapped out
like a
for
floppy
different memory.
disk.
Floppy disk is another inventor that happens to be on this list. 1971 actually is IBM. A guy named Alan Shugart invents the floppy disk, allowing data to be shared among computers. Let's see. I'm going to go down to the ones that are all right. Josh, you might remember. Well, you might know this because you're into the community, the IT group. Do you know what a TRS-80 is?
I know it as an old computer.
Yeah,
I've never touched one.
1974 to 1977, a number of personal computers finally hit the market, so making them reasonable enough for everyone to consume them and put them in their home and make stuff do stuff. One of them is the Skelby and Mark 8 Altair. One of them is IBM's 5100, and the Radio Shack TRS-80. Popularized name is the Trash 80. TRS-80, Trash 80, because it was pretty bad. 1976, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak start Apple. Pretty important one there. 1981, the first IBM personal computer, codenamed Acorn, is introduced. It uses MS-DOS operating system. 1983, Apple's Lisa is the first personal computer with a GUI. 1985, Microsoft announces Windows, and then they get sued. And then they offer $150 million to Apple to bail them out of some financial crisis, and the lawsuit goes away.
And they had to run Windows. That was part of that, too.
Who did?
Apple computers had to run Windows after that, after they got bailed out by Microsoft.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
And that ran out 4 or 5 years ago, and that's why that went away.
Interesting. I'm jumping up to 1990 because there's a bunch of additional things that can go in there. Well, let me give you this one. 1985, the very first .com domain service was ever registered. In 1985... Who do you think that domain belonged to? You probably will know this.
Microsoft.com?
Yeah, no, it wasn't Microsoft. It was the Symbolics Company, a computer company, a very small Massachusetts computer manufacturer.
So they were the first, quote unquote, not first website, but the first website.
The first .com domain.
The first .com. Okay,
Yeah.
First domain. All right.
The very, very first
And it was
domain.
what again?
Where is it? Symbolics, Symbolics, computer company, or symbolics.com. I didn't look. I should have looked to see if it was still even something that was available.
I'll do it right now.
Right, meow.
All right, 1990. Pretty important date here. Tim Berners-Lee, a researcher at CERN, the High Energy Physics Laboratory in Geneva, develops hypertext markup language, also known as HTML, giving the rise to the World Wide Web. So that was 1990. Granted, that's not a computer evolution, but I think it fits pretty well in that category. 2003, the first 64-bit processor was made. Is it a thing?
It is a thing.
Not just a thing, but I kind of suspected this. It says the world's first and oldest registered.com on the internet.
That's cool.
When you go to it.
They got a free ebook on the history of the internet. They got an interactive collection on prominent websites through the history of the internet. They got a bunch of stuff about the internet.
Neat.
Yeah.
As I was researching, so one of the advancements of computers is speed of the processor, how fast it can process whatever the kind of things you're throwing against it. And in my lifetime, we've seen the evolutions from, 100 megahertz processor all the way up to multi-hyper threaded, 40, what's the fastest now? Intel i9, commercially made available. Intel i9, probably 4700
I have no
or
idea.
something like that. Anyway,
I don't know what's that anymore.
The speed of processors is hitting that plateau that Josh kind of talked about earlier, where, excuse me, I kind of snuck up on me, came out of nowhere, where you can't process things faster than the speed of light, because you don't have the space or the physics when you get down to that microscopic level to be able to do those transactions.
So are we getting there close to processors maxing out?
We've basically plateaued. If you look at the Gantt charts, or that's not a Gantt chart, but whatever. If you look at the processor speed charts over time, we're hitting that plateau now.
Okay.
We're not going to have any more movement in conventional processors.
They're going to have to come up with a different way.
They did in 2016. The very first reprogrammable quantum computer was created. Now, I did cite this as personal computers pretty specifically to stay away from the supercomputers and those things. However, I kind of wanted to caveat into quantum just because we are hitting that plateau. It's pretty important to point out. But yeah, quantum computing, Ron, is the answer to that. How are we going to get faster from this point? Well, basically flip physics on its end and use quantum
So in another
programming.
10 years or less, we'll probably have quantum processors in our computers?
I would love to say yes, but the heat that quantum processors generate, I don't know how we can feasibly make those available. I mean, of course, technology is going to win out there, and they'll figure it out.
So maybe it is like 10, 20 years.
I think the first iteration of quantum computing in people's homes is going to be like a web-based PC. You'll have basically like a localized client. Because the smallest quantum computer right now, Google has it. And it's the size of a single server rack, which is like 7 feet tall, something like that. 7 feet tall, 2 feet wide, 3 feet deep, give or take. And that's the smallest one right now. But it can calculate things. Like one of the measurements, there's a particular decryption hash that it was like 126 years projected for our fastest computer to solve it. And it did it in like 36 seconds.
Holy shit.
Right.
That's
Can I borrow for like a weekend for Bitcoin mining?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
that's awesome.
You can
or
rent
pie? Can we mine some pie with
We
it?
need to talk about some pie tonight in the after show.
Yeah.
I got some questions about that. All
Right
right, so
here.
the last one in this category, again, is not personal computer related, but I bet I didn't know this until I read about this. It was 2017, 4 years ago, but I didn't even know this was a thing. So there's something even beyond quantum computing for speed and for capabilities inside computers, which could eventually lead to personal computers. The Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, also known as DARPA, is developing a new molecular informatics program that uses molecules as computers. Did you know about this?
I know about I don't want to take it away from you, but is this the protein-based or the DNA-based computing? Because DARPA also has that, if it's something different.
I don't know. I don't think so. But let me read it. I just might be misinterpreting this, but it could be. So, quote, chemistry offers a rich set of properties that we may be able to harness for rapid scalable information storage and processing, unquote. That's Ann Fisher, program manager at DARPA's Defense Sciences Office. quote, millions of molecules exist, and each molecule has a unique three-dimensional atomic structure as well as variables such as shape, size, or even color. The richness provide a vast design space for exploring novel and multi-value ways to encode and process data beyond the zeros and ones of the current logic-based digital architectures, unquote. So I don't think so. I think that's different.
It sounds different.
Yeah, it does sound. It doesn't sound. The DNA-based programming would be pretty interesting
because we can manipulate DNA. And when I say that, in the sense that we know how to we'll talk about the big COVID vaccine. That's messenger RNA. We're creating protein strains to emulate DNA.
You may be hinting around something in the 5 through 1 now.
My fault.
No, that's good.
Cool.
You know, as I listen to you guys talk, God, my brain sometimes just fucking goes. I just start thinking about
penises.
I'm listening to you guys talk and realizing that. I'm so glad I listened to the podcast. End of the World? Josh Clark.
Yeah.
Oh, because one day the world's just gonna fucking disappear and we're gonna get 5 fucking seconds notice as it happens, and we're just all gonna be gone. And in that last second, I'm gonna be like, it was probably one of those. I'm gonna think about it's probably one of those. As you guys talk about the shit that we're doing now, bro, we shouldn't be around enough and smart enough to understand this shit. As a human,
as Josh
race,
Clark would put it, maybe we're our own great filter.
Oh, we're absolutely our own great
Josh
filter.
Clark, by the way, giving him a plug. Not that he needs it. 1 billion downloads on that.
Good for him. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's he hosted a 10-show series, real short, real easy listen. I say short. Each episode's like an hour. So 10 hours of your time, but it's an amazing fucking show, and it's partially inspiration for a couple of the items that are inside this list. It's called The End of the World.
The stuff we're doing right now.
Existential crises.
Yes, the stuff we're doing right now. I mean, don't you guys? Does it scare you at all? Maybe it's a good after show topic, probably, but.
Dude, I could talk all day about existential shit.
I'm just getting nervous as listening to you guys. I didn't even realize some of the.
Like you said, you'll only have 5 seconds.
I didn't know there was like quantum. Fucking computers and shit. I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm like, how are we figuring this shit out?
It's on and off at the same time.
Science.
It is.
Science! Number 8.
Oh.
Sorry about this. Dragging a little bit. Getting carried away with my list tonight. All right, so it's number 8, space exploration. Humans are explorers by nature, derived from curiosity, maybe by greed, or immortal recognition. You want to be famous for being the guy forever that discovered America.
Legacy.
Right? Yeah. Humans want to explore and discover something and somewhere new. History is filled with details of adventure of explorers going out into the unknown. Space is no different, but it certainly distinguishes itself apart from other types of exploration in our history. The mathematics, science, and technology needed to be a spacefaring civilization had to be well understood prior to considering sending the first astronaut outside of the Earth's atmosphere. Space exploration, how's the best way to put this? So this list kind of drove towards why is it good for humanity, all right? So there's always been a contentious debate against why are we even sending people to space? What's the point of a human-led space exploration program? Sending satellites up, okay, got it, because you can easily see some benefits from satellites, but what's the point? Why do humans need to be in space? That's always a debate. In fact, a lot of times in Congress, you'll hear that people don't want to send human lives to the moon or to Mars or to any of these remote destinations because they know the price that is going to have to be paid at some point along that way. And it does draw into a good debate. What
I think the price would be paid if we didn't do it personally, but subject for another time.
That would be the other side of the debate.
Yes.
So some of the advantages, communications, of why we even go into explore space. Communications, look at the satellites, and I mean that's kind of a no-brainer. Entertainment, we're not to film a crew on the space station, but the mechanisms that are in space in orbit around Earth now, the satellites that we've got up there are directly allow you to be able to watch your Netflix or your HBO Maxes or
now you
whatever.
Guys, was it here we talked about it or did I talk about it with somebody else? Tom Cruise is shooting a movie in space.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
Oh, that should be interesting. He's just bringing up him and like a camera guy. That's all it's going. So that should be interesting.
SpaceX launching him?
Be the first. I guess the Russians are trying to beat him to it to be the first to film a movie in space. But as officially right now, we believe Tom Cruise
Yeah, but
will be.
nobody will watch it.
I mean, he does his own stunts, but this is really taking it pretty far.
That is taking it. It's shitty to send up a stuntman with him.
Yeah,
a stuntman would be an astronaut. So there's other advancements as well in space exploration that, I mean, I don't know the best way to even put it, but there's milestones. I'm not going to go through all of these, but some of the things that have happened over the last several, 50, 60, 70 years are pretty important. The very, very first exploration of space happened with the very first satellite, which is an artificial Earth satellite launched October 4th, 1957. Do you guys know who this was by and what its name was?
No.
It was Russian. The very first Russian satellite ever launched. Sputnik 1. That is correct. That's absolutely right. The very first animal launched into space was a dog, also by the Russians. That was on Sputnik 2. The first spacecraft to hard land on another celestial object was September 14th, 1959. That was Luna 2.
I mean, crash, hard land.
Hard land is a crash, yes. First pictures of the far side of the moon was in 1959. First application satellites launched. So these are the very first satellites that ever went up were in 1960. First recovery of payload from Earth orbit was also in 1960. First humans to orbit Earth. That is 1961. First human, not humans. Do you remember his name? We've talked about him on here before.
Buzz
also
Lightyear? No, I'm just kidding.
Yuri Gagarin. Do you recognize the name?
Yes.
You remember?
The name
You do?
sounds familiar,
Okay.
yes.
All right. First data return from another planet was from Mariner 2. That was in 1962.
Lieutenant
and that was from
Data?
Venus.
From Star Trek?
From Uranus. First woman in space, 1963. Way to go, Russia. Valentina Tereshkova on Vostok 6.
That was actually pretty good. That sounded...
Did my
sounded
best.
Right,
Just flim it up a little bit, I learned, when trying to pretend like you're a Russian. Should work.
Is that how you do it?
What is big deal?
Just flim it up a little bit.
1963, first satellite to operate in geostationary orbit. 1965, first spacewalk. Let's keep moving down this list because I could go on forever. But
Clearly.
well, I mean, yes, smart ass. Hundreds and hundreds of launches over the last 60
days,
70 years.
SpaceX, thank you.
Yeah, we just had one today, actually.
Did we for real?
Yeah,
We did.
Yeah,
I don't even know.
I didn't know about it either till I'm sitting in my office like, oh, yeah,
What time
my
was
monitor's
it?
shaking. About 2:00.
I was down in Melbourne.
I don't think I was
I got the
quite-
text from the Brevard
I was there. I don't know how I missed it. That's weird. I was at my office and I see him from my office window.
It was kind of rainy today down in Melbourne.
Yeah, maybe
we just missed
it. Was raining. Yeah.
The last one in the list is the first landing on the moon's far side. Do you know who did this? Which has kind of pushed an agenda.
The guy who wrote the Far Side comics.
That would be funny, but no.
It was a crowd. Wasn't it? It's China that's got a rover up there, right?
Chang'e's 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. There's a very big push right now from America and our allies
Merc.
to get our asses moving to the moon and to Mars quick, because the Russians and China have just announced that they're starting their exploration programs and will be doing a lunar base. We don't know if it's physically on the surface or if it's going to be like a Lagrange point style orbit.
Cool.
We don't know that yet, but and they've announced that they want to use that as a launch pad to go over to Mars.
That's you know what? That's one of those things.
That's awesome. Good
It's going to scare the shit out of America and make us spend a lot of money to make the program
This is
advance.
what happened.
Just like
that's how
the
the
moon.
space race happened years ago.
100% right.
But this is one of those things. I do not give a rat's ass who does any of that
That's what I'm
first.
saying. Yeah, fucking go for it, guys.
If China does
Hell
it first,
yeah.
I just want somebody to do it. Before I'm dead, I want to see a moon station. I want to see somebody land on Mars, and I want to own a Tesla before I die.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's like Russia runs life support on the space station.
Yeah, they're
We don't
talking
even
about
run our
pulling
own
out of
li-
the space
yeah.
station too.
I mean, they don't need ours anymore. They can just put up their own. China just dropped theirs with this 6 months ago or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, like I'm ready. I don't care who does it.
Indian Ocean, I think, is
If
where
we're
it splashed.
dicking around because of politics or whatever it is, oh well,
We're gonna
someone
lose.
else beats us. Let's
We're gonna
just
lose, yeah.
let's just make this happen.
I
don't care who
like
does
your
it.
opinion on that, and I agree with you. Human exploration, space exploration, is a human milestone, not an American milestone.
100%.
Even though we slap a flag on it, I mean that's just what happens
for our
It
local
is
pride,
for
but-
all of humanity. Like the first human that stepped on the moon, irrelevant of country, we are now an exoplanet civilization. Whatever. We have now transitioned from our planet into other objects.
Another
in our
body,
cosmos.
yeah.
Yeah, another celestial body. I like get on your celestial body. Number 7. So this one goes back a little further. This one's a lot more basic, and don't worry, I don't have a giant list of dates on this one. Number 7 is an item. I'll give you a hint and see if you can get it. An item that shaped human civilization's ability
Spandex. Oh, you said shaped.
to be able to navigate to other civilizations on Earth.
GPS?
I mean,
Good
about
good
the
train of
compass?
thought. The compass.
Yeah.
Yes. You get a half a point for GPS.
I went way too technical.
Way too technical on that, yes. So yeah, magnetic compasses may have been made somewhat obsolete by satellites and GPS systems, but their impact on early navigation and exploration was inestimable. Can't be estimated, Ron. It's a real word. Look it up. Originally invented in China by the 14th century, compasses had widely replaced astronomical means as the primary navigation instrument for mariners. The compass provided explorers with reliable method for transversing the world's oceans, a breakthrough that ignited the age of discovery and won Europe the wealth and power that later fueled the Industrial Revolution. Most importantly, the compass allowed for interaction, both peaceful and otherwise, between previously isolated world cultures. So it really it made the world smaller. The invention of the compass made the world smaller because now you have the ability to find your way to get over to your neighbors across the oceans that before
they
you would
just
never
used
have known.
star charts and the sun and stuff.
Yeah, which again are pretty reliable. However,
Quite.
if there's clouds, you're fucked. You
Yeah,
know what I
that's a
mean?
good point.
Kind of fucked there. All right, number 6. This is the last one for the history of technological advances that I think deemed worthy for humanitarian impact worldwide. And this is, yes, antibiotics.
Nice.
We don't have to go too deep into antibiotics, but very, very basic and very straightforward. Louis Pasteur and Joseph Lister were the first to recognize an attempt to combat bacteria.
Pasteurized.
Alexander Fleming was the one who made the first leaps in antibiotics. But yeah, it was all discovered. So it was literally by accident. Antibiotics were discovered in a petri dish inside Louis Pasteur's office, and that sent them on the races to figure out what is this virus and how is it being defeated by whatever this concoction is.
Bread mold.
Yeah, was it bread mold?
It was.
Yeah, I guess so. But anyway, so that is 10 through 6. You said you were going to take a guess at 5 through 1. 5 through 1 are
when we come back from the break, the music, I'll take a guess.
5 through 1 are very future looking, very technological advances that were on the brim of breaking through in those technologies that, in my opinion, will be humanity evolving. It'll take us to the next step.
I have 2 that'll be super surprised aren't on your list. But I don't know how many that they weren't on your list. But I don't know how many you really want me to guess.
You want to take a guess? You want to guess when we come back?
Guess when we come back.
All right, cool deal. Well, you're listening to Truephonic Money Don't Buy Me Time tonight, so we're mixing it up a little bit. But thank you for listening. We'll be back after the break.
I need rest. I've been up a few days, now I feel it in my chest. Nothing is for certain, so I wonder what's next. And if it ain't for the fame, guess I'm working for respect. I'm working for respect. Oh, tell me what I'm singing for. Didn't mean to just slip my mind. Oh, I wish someone had told me the money don't buy me time. tell you that is easy. Oh, it gets harder every day. Oh, tell me what I'm singing for. But did the meaning just slip my mind? Oh, I wish someone had told me the money don't buy me time.
All right, we are back, everybody. And we tonight are talking with Adam has the list. Tonight we're talking with Adam Poston.
Tonight is
And Adam Poston has a very interesting list for us about technology breakthroughs and how they affect humanity.
Do you want me to go through the computer dates again for you?
Let's not. But
Yeah, it's humanity impacting technological advances. And 10 through 6 was just that. It was historically things that have shaped humanity completely. 5 through 1 are a little different, though.
But before we talk about that, I'm going to pull it back from you because you took it from me.
Do
No,
it.
just kidding. Like, because I never interrupt people.
I love it the way you pull it, Ron.
That's what she said. No, he said. They said.
I think
That's
so.
what Adam said.
That's what we said.
Yeah, that's what we said.
And I want to ask you guys if you guys could do us a huge favor. It would be super awesome. Really help us out. And head to your iTunes or wherever it is that you listen to your podcast. And if you could rate and review, super, super helpful. Takes just a minute. Much appreciated.
I mean,
Yeah,
we
thanks,
would prefer
guys.
5 stars, but if you want to give us less, we got it.
Give us the stars
But
you
tell us
think we
why.
deserve.
Tell us why, yeah.
Tell us why.
And we forgot to do that last
And
week on
tell
the
us
after
why.
show, is review our
Yeah, let's pull those up in the after show tonight.
reviews.
That sounds like fun.
These guys, a good concept. These guys are boring.
guys
Literally
are
one of our
boring,
reviews.
yeah.
Yeah. And I've got the geekiest list of all time.
yeah, you do.
Apropos.
And so we're gonna kick it to your 5 through 1. But before you did that, I was gonna take a couple guesses. One I'm like thinking could be on this list because I think it would be humanity transforming. But I'm gonna do that one first, and that would be terraforming.
Ooh, good call. I don't think we're close enough to the ability to terraform yet, but it's not on the list. But yeah, I agree.
So
I don't think we're there yet.
So then this next one, I would be surprised if you told me we were close to this, but I really thought it would be on there.
Before you say it, let me shape it. These are technology advances that could potentially be in our lifetimes that I see coming to fruition or coming to the capabilities of actually impacting humanity.
Okay.
So this is in our life. So in the next 40 years, maybe 30
I'm still going to
years.
say it because even though I don't think we're within 40 years of this, the singularity.
Yeah, AI and the singularity is on my list, 100%.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Well,
I think we are closer
well,
to that
AI
than
is different
we do.
to me than the singularity.
I go
but-
over that a little bit. Singularity is a little different, yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
okay.
that for sure that is number 2, actually.
Okay.
It didn't make number 1. Josh, you have any
I
guesses?
thought for sure it'd be number 1. So
It
I
was
have
originally.
No idea.
When I first made this list, it was. But number 1 is so good that it definitely
It just
overtook
had to be
AI.
number 1.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with like full dive virtual reality of some sort.
Oh, not bad.
God, damn it. I had 3 and virtual reality was the third one and I forgot it during the break.
Reality. No, that virtual reality. I like that too.
It's a good guess.
But it
yeah.
didn't make my list. I've seen virtual reality in my lifetime rise and die now twice. It rose real hard in like the late 90s, and then
That's what he said.
and then again here
That's
recently
what I
in
did.
like 08, 09,
Man,
Oculus came out and all these advanced, these cool fucking things. Then people are like, it's just not. It never caught on. I think the cumbersomeness of the giant goggle headsets.
maybe. I mean, there's
When we can
maybe
get
it's just a community that I am particularly plugged into, but like you can get $1,200 like Index VR that has full finger control. You can like interact with the world. Development is like
Full finger control.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
when
it's-
we can get it to the holodeck kind of situation, I think that's like going to be the shit right
Michio
there.
Kaku gave us the plans.
Virtual reality, as good as that is, I don't think would shape humanity.
Makes sense.
One on this list for sure will. 2 will.
Well, all 5 are supposed to, according to your list. Just saying.
4 is more tech. Let's just get into it.
Let's do
just
that.
do it.
Number 5. So this is something that we all have either used or seen or been in conversations with. It's a very commonplace today, but the evolution of this technology is literally building our future, quite literally, and that's 3D printing. So all of us at one point or another have either owned our own 3D printer or know somebody that has. In this case, we know Kim Kennedy, friend of the show and model for the Living Podcariously logo. She has a 3D printer. I even hired her to make me one of the little 3D squid things, whatever. Fucking cool. So it's, we have people that we know that even have these things. But they're small scale.
At Barnes & Noble, well, as you like to call it, Books A Million, when I was a manager, for a short period of time, they actually gave us like a ghetto, and I don't remember the brand, 3D printer. I think we sold it for $300. And a guy, like a techie guy that worked for me, bookseller, that went to class and got to get classes from Richard Feynman, like that kind of smart kind of guy, right? But for some reason he decided he was just going to be a bookseller in a bookstore. Techie guy. First day we got it, jailbroke it and made a Millennium Falcon. I was like, yes. And then that was like the selling point in our store. Like, we're blowing these out. And no one else was selling any, and they were like, "Dude, how is it you're doing this?" I said, "I don't know. We're just good at selling them." But the trick was we jailbroke the model, and he would tell them how to do it in this Millennium Falcon thing, this just plastic piece of shit that you could probably buy at a gift shop in Kissimmee for $1.
Right, but you'll be sued.
But because you could make it with this thing,
you're right. But you'd be sued for trademarking from Disney at this
whatever,
point.
Dude. I won a contest. Fuck it, I don't care.
And awesome. You got a free 3D printer out of it, didn't you?
Well, no, I don't. I didn't get one at my house. No, but
so 3D printing is a technology that's growing faster than most all other areas, and its use cases are literally out of this world. So kind of see what I did there.
Ooh.
Imagine 3D printing with metal or steel as your ink or your supply. And an area as big as a football stadium as your printing surfaces where you can print. So now 3D metal printers are rapidly growing in advancements, and in a few more years we could completely revolutionize construction altogether.
I thought 100% haven't people already built houses completely made by 3D printers?
Yeah, I was going to reference those, but those are using a stackable concrete. It is printing, but it's using a concrete compound, kind of like that's how it's pouring. It just goes and pours. But it is a computer that's doing it. It is a 3D printer that's building their walls and stuff.
Roger
It's
that.
a little different. This one's, I guess the element is indifferent. If it's using 3D printing technology, then yes, that is what is happening. In this case, it's metal in any shapes and fashions. A couple of the companies, like I even referenced one, Arup, out of the UK, they are kind of leading in the 3D steel printing for construction. And they're printing now these beams and binders and these really exotic looking but structurally sound support features for construction now. They're doing that now. So they're already in that marketplace, starting to corner it, by the way.
Can they 3D print some fucking lumber for us so we can get rid of our lumber shortage?
There's no shortage. It's a conspiracy, Ron. You know better than that.
Oh, is that the case? Is that the next thing I missed?
But here's the impact of that. So part of tying into space exploration, part of this is our ability to have habitation units on these other locations, these other planets or moons or wherever we want to go and explore. Well, kind of the trick here is, and most sci-fi new movies will take advantage of this, you can send ahead a 3D printer, an automated, like autonomous 3D printer, have it pick out that plot of land, settle on it, and then go and print your building that you'll live in and operate out of, windows and all. I mean, the whole 9 yards. These things have the capabilities of doing that all. And that's not just for, space. Here in the real world, you want a new home, you literally could have a checkbox on your application filling out for your new home construction. Do you want it 3D printed? That could literally be a thing that people are doing in 5 years. I mean, that
really?
Soon. Yes. This technology is going so fast. I think their hardest element to overcome now is the integrity of the steel and metal that goes into these devices.
Yeah, because the devices can only be so big too, so they can only make the pieces so big. Or how big are these 3D printers that they're using for construction? Or realistically, how big will they be if they're doing this on a regular basis? Like the size of a room? Bigger?
Semi truck size. Yeah.
Holy ballsack.
So, yeah, they'd be
So
massive.
you can make pieces big enough.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And in the way they're structured, it's easy to make a scalable printer because you just have the scaffolding long enough, right? So the grid of your base, the corners of your base that you print on can be adjustable just by having larger framing just for the outside. And then the motor just runs the whole rail.
Yeah, it's really going to put a change into like the construction business is really going to take a hit.
Kind of. I see it as an evolving, workforce. All right, it's not just the guy who literally hammers the house together. It's not just that guy. That skill set can then be moved to supporting, the design or the, whatever. There are other parts of that. There'll still be jobs that are needed to do these things. It's just the actual laborious tasks will be a fucking robot out there.
So it's more the manufacturing end that's taking this hit from 3D printing, obviously.
Yeah, probably.
Because they're not going to need them to manufacture. Somebody will still need to know how to put this house together and piece it. So it's still like I need the roof. Maybe I have a roofer guy who just gets his materials from his 3D printer, and then I have a drywall guy who gets his materials from the 3D printer. So everything really is just hurting the manufacturers.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but think of it this way. Think of the advantages there. So for a typical person, cool, we have a new option, in our construction capabilities.
Yeah, I went negative.
But think about it's all right.
I went Andrew Yang with
You're right, though. You're right. Technology sometimes does kill lines of work.
Sometimes.
Because your automobile manufacturing processing.
Automobiles, freaking newspapers, freaking everything.
Think of the capabilities if you had the ink, I guess, or supply, the toner, whatever the fuck you want to call it. If you had enough of this material, you could end homelessness in years. You could completely end it. And all you would need is a machine, a robot that is able to do this, an area for these homes to be built, and you could literally have homes built. Now, I know like Homes for Humanity and things like that. There are other organizations that do that too, but you could plop it down in an area of land, and one day later you have a complete functional home ready to be moved into. So it's just cool that this type of technology can impact everyone around the world one way or another, positively.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Or negatively, I guess, too.
No, only if you're wrong. So you mentioned how it would be really cool for space exploration. Did you hear about the recent Saves the Day at the space station or the 3D printer at the space station?
No.
So they have a small 3D printer, and one of the astronauts said that something he was doing would be significantly easier with a tool that was specifically shaped. And he described it, and they designed it on Earth. They sent up the STL file, and they 3D printed the tool, and whatever he was trying to do, it worked.
We're all going to die.
No, you know what the tool was, don't you, Ron? To make things significantly easier in space. He
a vibrator?
A fleshlight.
Oh.
All right, so number 4. Number 4 is the one on the list that I said, this is like the technology item that may not necessarily affect all of humanity. So this is the one item on the list that is more like your virtual VR style system, and that is in-ear translators.
I'm sorry, what?
Cool.
An in-ear translators.
Okay.
So think Google makes a product called Goog, Goog, and then pardon me. And then Babelfish earbuds are another product. Babelfish is synonymous with what's that from the movie? Help me out here. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So the Babelfish, an actual fish that they put into the people's ear inside that book and movie, allows them then to suddenly understand every language and be able to communicate in that language.
Star Trek, it's called the Universal Translator.
I was going to ask what it was called in Star Trek. I didn't Google it.
Just pretty basic, Universal Translator.
And that's what they wear on their chest, right?
That's their communicator.
Where's the translator?
The translator is just like they'll have a computer. They can do it through a tricorder, whatever, or through the computer on the ship or whatever.
Everyone talks the same language, and that's by the Universal Translator.
No, everyone talks the same language because it's bad writing, Adam.
Well, the writing
because
always,
we have to understand what they're saying. And I don't want to read half the fucking show.
No, I agree with you there. But the writing always has led storylines to define how people all talk English or whatever language.
Either they've all learned to speak English because Federation of Planets is like universal, literally universal language, and if we are listening to them speak English, but they wouldn't be somebody who had ever come across it before, it's because the universal translator translated it into English, and that's what we're hearing.
Interesting. Anyway,
yep. Sometimes they speak Klingon though.
Nerds. The breakthrough. these are products that are on the market now, meaning you can purchase these, but the technology and some of the software behind it, like the AI that's actually behind some of this information, is not quite there yet. It's almost to the point where these things are going to be working.
If speech to text exists, then this could exist. In a way.
So the difference here is the real-time translation. So for these devices to work properly, I read a ton of articles on this, but for these devices to work properly, it has to have very specific conditions. Like it can only be a one-on-one conversation right now, and it can't really have much else going on in the background, and the earbuds will sync with each other to do real-time translation for the wearer and the speaker.
Oh, so you need both to have it. It's not just something you put in your ear, and if you're speaking another language, I listen and it translates. We need both of us to have each of us to have
communication line where if you just had one of these earbuds in and were listening to a show in Spanish, it would be translating in your ear into English.
Yeah, that's what.
But it doesn't take into consideration all the other stuff, like in shows and TV and stuff. You have other sounds that are also coming through the speakers, so ambiance sounds, maybe music, maybe some whatever. You have other sounds
that is not spoken language,
right? It doesn't work with that. So there are some limitations, but we're on the cusp. The bleeding edge of that technology taking off to the point where you can walk around the entire planet. Doesn't matter where you go, the language that you'll hear spoken to you through this translator will be your native language. And when you speak it back, if they have this device as well, they'll hear in their native language.
So another job gone. The UN translators. Done.
I looked it up. That's what I'm doing over here on my phone. They have a few different brands, but prices are like $100. $160, $130.
There's even an app for your phone now that you can.
There's an app for that.
Oh, cool!
For
yeah,
translators.
The Pixel Buds are one that comes up a lot. I guess you can use them as an in-ear translator. Anyways, yeah, it's just like it's accessible.
Wait a minute, is Google's stock price their ticker GOOG?
I don't know.
That I would be why I'm like, what is Google's Goog? I bet that's their stock ticker, and the article probably had what their stock ticker was next to it. Funny. Anyway, yeah, so.
This is awesome. That's so fucking cool.
I don't know so that again, that one is the one that is okay, it's awesome, but it won't necessarily shape humanity. The rest of these absolutely will, in my opinion. It will shape will benefit all of humanity one way or the other.
I think it could play a good role though. I mean, the people in, positions of authority who are doing interlanguage trade deal, politicians, government level, like if they have access, I mean, I know they of course all have translators, but it just is one other way for these people to meet. Maybe I don't know.
It will be specifically helpful for like world politics.
Yeah,
but the things get lost in quote unquote translation. Period in the story.
Right.
Now,
the colloquialisms and terminology that'll all have to be calculated.
The President of the United States and the leader of North Korea can have a direct conversation with each other through a translator, and it's just more organic that way.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it could make a difference to the people that need it.
Yeah.
And I want them because they just sound cool.
Number 3. So number 3 has a tie-in to another one on this list, but it got its own category because of the advancements in this particular technology. We're talking about space exploration earlier and how that has helped to shape humanity as we know it now. Well, space propulsion engines is the next.
Isn't there some kind of... We've talked about it on this show before. Some kind of like non-chemical, non-moving part, like some kind of quantum engine or some shit.
Yeah, kind of. You're talking about the EM drive that we're both fascinated
Yes, the EM
with.
drive. Like I've been online and supposedly this thing is actually showing some movement, but we don't know for sure if that's what it was.
NASA
seen some stuff
has tested
on YouTube,
and it does produce a certain amount of micronewtons of thrust. It 100% does, but it's the thrust is equivalent to a piece of the pressure pressure that a piece of paper on your hand pushes. But the caveat to that is
It's a
that
start.
it's exponential. So as when you first started up, you're like, this motherfucker ain't performing. Well,
You got to push start that thing.
4 months later, you're going 7/10 the speed of light, and you're like, oh, this motherfucker flies! So it's exponential in how it works. But
That's awesome.
It does produce thrust. 7 months is a
So
bad
we'll
example.
see that in our lifetime, you think?
Well, that already exists. That
But I meant-
drive already exists. The capabilities?
I
Why
meant the
not? Let's-
capability to where it's actually would be useful and practical.
Advancements in this industry, in propulsion, specifically space propulsion engines, has been advancing our entire lives and is still continuing to advance and bleeding edges of several different types of technology for them. So we'll go over a couple of them. It's no secret that space is huge. It is also widely known that our conventional combustion engines, these chemical engines, simply will not allow for deep space exploration of our solar system or even other stars and their solar systems within the Milky Way, let alone another galaxy. The time constraint for our fastest vehicle to make it to Mars is currently 7 months. That's for a human carrying vehicle. It's currently 7 months. And that's our closest fucking neighbor other than the moon. So for us to make it to any other parts of the solar system or beyond is unfathomable for a human.
It's like 9 years to Saturn or some shit.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I just looked it up a couple days ago because of that picture we posted. I think I posted initially of the satellite that's between the planet
that's
and
a
the
beautiful
rings.
shot, dude.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. And I thought, man, how long does it take to get to Saturn? I looked it up. It was like 9 years or some shit like that.
With the space race on again, as we kind of talked earlier, China and Russia are currently developing a lunar space station. The industry to compete to carry astronauts to those space destinations is in high competition. Governments and private companies are all working on the fastest and safest ways to cut our travel times down. This is quite literally the change comparison to horseback in buggies going across pastures to a combustion engine vehicle traveling on highways. This is quite literally the exact same type of technology advancement, just at a different scale. That's all that this is. We're paving our roads and building those those cars, proverbially, for space travel. Now.
We did send a car into space.
We did. It
Oh
should be
yeah, it
around
was
Mars
a Tesla on top of the. Oh, you know what? I can't talk about that. Never mind. I have to tell you something off camera about, or off camera, off mic about that. Totally.
Ominous.
Oh god, now I kind of want to know. Blue balls.
I'm sorry about
blue balls.
that. I'm really sorry about that, guys, but I can't say it on there. Never mind. But it's about that car specifically.
Interesting.
It's nothing really super like, oh my God, are you serious? It's just an interesting fact from somebody we know. That's all.
Talking about these propulsion engines, I'm not talking warp drives or bending space-time or faster than light FTL kind of drives. That is still theoretical in the real world and complete science fiction when it comes up. But this isn't that. We're not anywhere near having the ability to bend space-time and get us from one part of the galaxy to another in a blink of an eye. That ain't happening yet.
What the hell was that movie with Matthew McConaughey? Interstellar?
All right.
Interstellar.
That's how they traveled, right? It was like pretty much bending space-time, like creating some kind of wormhole.
No, not in Interstellar.
Yeah.
They went through a wormhole and ended up outside of a black hole. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but that's how they purposely moved that way. That was their method of transportation from one part of the galaxy to the other, or wherever they went.
I don't know. That movie got weird.
That movie was badass.
It was
dude.
good. It was amazing.
Matt
but it was
Damon's
way
character
out
was
there.
fucking
Yes.
cool in
the
that.
ending got fucking strange.
It did.
All right, so here are a couple of different styles of engines that are either, already had been working for 90 years.
Engines. Oh, sorry.
Knew you were going to do it. Or are on the breaking edge of their development process. So chemical rockets we know about. That's what we've been using.
Right here, baby.
That's a chemical rocket?
I got your chemical rocket right here, ready to explode.
In case you want to know, your dick is not a chemical rocket.
And I call it at best a firecracker. Those have been working for 90 years. Chemical rockets have been in use for 90 years. Cool little side tangent for this. The most impressive and most powerful rocket that's being put onto the SLS.
Right here. No, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't have the button anymore. I was going to push it. Its byproduct is 100% water vapor. H2O is the byproduct of this rocket. The fuel is liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen that burns, and its product that it puts out is not pollutant at all. It is literally water. That's amazing.
Isn't that what they said about vaping and now people can't breathe? Well, just saying.
There's other chemicals. And I don't think diacetyl is part of the SLS.
It was pure water vapor. That's what they were saying.
You were told
Kids,
wrong.
go smoke vape.
Another type of engine that is being developed is electrothermal. That's superheated plasma through a supersonic nozzle to create thrust. That's kind of cool. An ion drive, kind of what the EM drive is built around, but it's an electronic field propulsion of non-reactive molecules, which is low thrust but low cost in fuel.
Sounds like my sex life. Low thrust. I'm sorry.
Solar sails. Those are kind of obvious. They're giant sails that catch the sun, and the sun's movement, the light that comes through there, has mass, as E = mc squared shows us, and they can harness that and use that as a literal sail.
That's badass.
Plasma propulsion engine, which is kind of cool, like the ion drive, exactly like it, but in this time they're using reactive molecules, so you got some shit that'll blow up as opposed to not. That's actually being developed by Ad Astra Rocket Company in Texas. Cool company.
So when Jesus Christ, are you going to bring up dilithium crystals? Is that also on your list?
No, that's not on the list.
Oh, damn it.
Thermal fission. That is fission reactor to heat up propellant. And then there's a continuous fusion reactor, so kind of the opposite there. Superheat fuel until the fuel fuses, and they can harness the extra energy out of that. So when the fusion happens, there's additional energy that's
released. This is all stuff that they have some kind of semi-working prototype on.
Yeah, these are all in development or done. Some of these are done. I don't say done. They have working.
They'll
product.
advance more, but they actually work.
A pulsed fusion engine, which is basically harnessing tiny nuclear reactions or detonations and using that power to work on to propulse whatever you're trying to push.
Out of
That's
these,
amazing.
What do you think? Because just like all technologies, there's multiple versions. Like there's a goal, right? That's what it is. That all these technologies are built by a goal. The goal is we're trying to figure out how to go from one place to another most efficiently and the fastest.
I don't think
so.
Our
That's
problem,
what all these probably are. So who do you think wins out of all this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. That's a good question.
What one are they going to jump on and really figure out how to bring it to the next level and to where it's practical and it makes sense and it's, you can apply it to current technology,
I think all of these, for the most of these engines and their capabilities are very similar with respect to reducing time it takes for us to travel through the solar system. I think all of them will work for the end goal is to get us there faster. I think all of these will do that. Not the chemical.
We know that all of them will do it, but somebody's going to take the next leap. One of these technologies is going to probably win out, at least initially.
It's going to be the most profitable one.
Oh, damn, that's a good answer.
I don't know which one.
Right.
I don't know what that is, but
yeah, you're right about that.
Honestly, I think the technology behind the ion drive or the EM drive, I think that is probably the most promising for long-term use. That's the slow to build up and get going, but when you have, there's some theory, like physics breaking theory that sits behind a couple of these designs, like pulling energy out of a quantum vacuum, which theoretically can't happen. But I think that one has the most promise. I think that particular device has the most promise. It's got enough promise to where, 3 and 4 letter agencies have already invested a lot of time and energy into figuring out exactly how it works.
I guess we fire one out and we just see how long it takes until we lose track of it. Till it passes like Voyager 2 out there in the middle of nowhere.
Voyager 2 has been going for 50 years now, and we're going to light up one of these ion drives and it'll pass it in like 2 days.
Yeah.
See you later.
One was headed into what? One was headed towards one outside of the galaxy. One's headed towards the
Alpha Centauri, I think.
The inside of the galaxy, or I should say the center of the galaxy, right? Because they did two. I think that's what it was. Am I right on
You
that?
are correct.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they sent one. I didn't know where they sent the other one, but I know one was headed towards the center of the galaxy.
And they are out in true interstellar space, and
So
they're
even
finding
beyond the Oort cloud, or no?
Intergalactic
No, I don't
planets.
think they're beyond that.
interstellar space is outside of the magnetic band of our sun.
Oh,
So it makes it
okay.
interstellar.
Roger that.
And they're now picking up new frequencies out there, like
in the nothingness.
predictable waves in the middle of nothing.
Yeah, which is weird.
So that's pretty exciting stuff. That like just
One of
happened
them,
too.
I think,
That's
just
pretty recent.
one of them just crossed the Oort cloud because we talked about that on a show like 6 months ago. And what the really astonishing fact is that it hit a wall of fire. And then it sounds ominous, but it's plasma particles. It was picking up these really superheated plasma particles in areas that it should not be, and it was in vast amounts. And after the sensors analyzed it, it was everywhere.
It's Planet X.
The lizard people are here.
The lizard people, yes.
Number 2.
Number 2.
This is artificial intelligence. So while the big boom of AI floundered in the 80s and 90s, it has resurged with less dramatic attention. And I think that's kind of engineered. I think people don't want to get the hopes up of AI when they can't produce results. So that's exactly what happened in the 80s and 90s. Harvard, I think it was Harvard.
They can't even give Twitter an AI without it becoming profoundly racist.
Yep. I think it was Harvard that basically claimed they would have AI completely whooped by like 1985. And
How'd that go?
yeah, no, not.
Thank
not
goodness.
It might not have been Harvard. It might have been some other, maybe MIT. I don't know. AI is used in everything from movie recommendations on Netflix to payment processing for credit card industries to automation, manufacturing, healthcare, education, and so on. There's a ton of industries that use AI right now. Your smartphones, you have AI literally on your smartphones as we sit here in the studio.
Listening, actually, right now.
What I'm more specifically referring to when I'm talking about AI and the progressions that I see that are humanity affecting has to do with artificial general intelligence or human level AI. So far, there are 2 main categories of AI. That's the human-created algorithmic programming or learning artificial neural networks. That's basically the 2 different models of how AI can work, the environments that it can operate in. When on the first of those 2, that is the human-built code-generated algorithms, ifs, ands, so's, it's the very general commands for AI. Code that humans can create can be set to have boundaries that AI cannot progress past. We can see exactly what is happening with the AI when we decipher its code as it progresses through what it's learning. Neural AI is a completely different story. When scientists and programmers try to decipher the information that comes from an artificial neural network, it is completely unreadable to humans. We cannot decipher the language that is coming out of a neural network
that we created.
But we didn't code it. We gave it the parameters to be able to learn.
And it coded itself.
It kind of. It didn't actually code. It did. There is a language there, but we can't understand it. It's beyond our comprehension.
There's been a ton of good AI movies, but man, the one, and I can never pronounce it quite right, the one that fucking has always like haunted me is it Ex Machina?
Ex Machina.
Ex Machina?
Yeah.
Fuck, that movie's so good, dude.
Yeah, that's a good
You guys
movie.
have both seen that movie,
yeah.
right? God, I've seen that movie like probably 3 or 4 times. Something about the way by now, if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry, but something about the way she manipulated him.
Oh, you're just turned on.
What? No, it was scary as fuck.
Oh, okay.
It was scary as fuck how good of a job she did manipulating his ass. Like, that was, in my mind, I don't think you can program that. That is true adapting, learning, planning out. That is true artificial intelligence. I think that movie did a great job of displaying what artificial intelligence could be.
For the basic person to understand this, the human brain has wiring, synapses that fire and talk to each other.
On the chemical level, obviously.
Yeah, but in the literal level too, there's literally wiring inside your brain that allows your different parts of your brain to communicate with the other. And your brain decides which neurons fire, which synapses are activated, which aren't, etc. the technology that is inside the brain. I say technology, but the architecture of a brain is what was simulated to make these artificial neural networks for these AI to exist in. And they didn't give them directions for this type of AI. It gave it capabilities. That's all that the programmers, so to speak, gave them inside this environment.
Okay.
It's just super scary. We literally do not know how neural networks handle and process information, but we know that they work. We know that they learn. We know that they store memory. And the interesting part, unlike a human brains are broken down into sections, and you can differentiate where long-term memory is, short-term memory, where cognitive processing is, where your personality zones are. I mean, everything. You can literally see it firing up to see when that's happening. In an artificial neural network, there's no mapping. It doesn't work the same way. It appears as if the processing and memory synapses, let's just call them synapses for lack of a better term, are being activated at the same time, which in a human, that's kind of it's unusual. Let's just put it that way. It's not that it doesn't ever happen, but it's very unusual for a human brain to work that way. But artificial neural networks do that. That's a bit scary and leads to the potential of the singularity. Singularity is a fascinating, absolutely fascinating topic to me. Do you know what I'm referring to? I know Ron does, Josh, but do you know what I'm referring to when I talk about the singularity with artificial intelligence?
You're just talking about when it becomes sentient and
sentient? No. Singularity specifically states when it becomes smarter than humans.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's inevitable. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
that's
smarter,
going to happen.
cognitively smarter. Like you can tell if you put the entire world's library inside a computer, it will be smarter than a human, but not cognitively smarter.
Yeah, meaning its comprehension to learn, to grow, to advance.
Right.
Yeah, when it becomes better than human. Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to read you a quote from Nick Bostrom. And this is, I've actually purchased this book, read it, and I say read it, I listened to it for the Audible people.
Oh, is it on Audible?
Oh, yeah.
Because I have like 2 or 3 credits built up.
I've got 12.
You got to keep using them, right? Or you'll lose them.
The book is good, but it does get mathematical, and it does get super theoretical. So there are some very, very vast theoretical things that he talks about in there. But it's really good. I'm giving him a plug because it's a good book. And this also kind of inspired the Josh Clark
End of the World.
End of the World show, or End of the World podcast. So, all right, I'm going to read you this quote. Let an ultra-intelligent machine be defined as a machine that can far surpass all the intellectual activities of any man, however clever. Since the design of machines is one of these intellectual activities, an ultra-intelligent machine could design an even better machine. There would then be an unquestionable intelligence explosion, and the intelligence of man would be left far behind. Thus, this is the important part of the quote, thus the first ultra-intelligent machine is the last invention that man need ever make, provided that the machine is docile enough to tell us how to keep it under control. Nicholas Bostrom. So that quote kind of summarizes the theory behind once a machine becomes smart enough to invent other machines and it's smarter than a human, it will quickly surpass humans' capabilities because it's not going to limit itself.
Skynet.
He actually, in his speeches, like if he's addressing the press, he'll say, "Don't put a Terminator next to my picture if you print this." So he goes and tells them that every time. He probably got in trouble for it at some point, or he's probably just frustrated with it at this point.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a point where if a computer can rewrite its code and it is currently as smart as Einstein, then it's smart enough to be able to improve on its code, and then it becomes smarter than Einstein. I'm using Einstein as the smartest man just arbitrarily. So then it is now smarter, and then it can continue to build on its code, and it doesn't have a limit. So it can continue to make itself better, more refined, smarter, and evolve its code over time, where it's eventually going to hit a point where there is never a way that we're going to ever be able to keep up with how smart this AI has become. And it can solve all of our problems. You can feed it a problem. How do I fix world hunger? It will tell you how to fix world hunger.
Maybe.
or it will kill you. One of the two.
Yeah, but
Yes,
my thought
people.
was, I think the scary part about AI is not how smart it is, but how at the point it becomes aware to realize, like, why don't we have these humans here? They're fucking up everything. They're fucking up the world. They're morons. We don't need them. I'm gonna figure out a way to fucking just eradicate these humans and just have the robots. Does that ever happen? Maybe, maybe not.
There's another theory behind it. The computers might get so smart that they don't care about us, that we become insignificant. And the example Nick Bostrom used in his book also is the comparison of the potential of AI and its capability of growing and learning is equivalent to if you compared Einstein to the intellect of an earthworm. How do you convince Einstein to take care of every earthworm in existence? He doesn't care about it. It's insignificant to him. In this case, AI would be that much more advanced than where we are right now in that same comparison, where we might just become insignificant. That AI might just fucking leave and go explore or go evolve or ascend or whatever the fuck it wants to do, because we're not going to matter. Human input at that point is probably irrelevant. It won't care about us anymore, which that's the best case scenario when you're talking about possible annihilation.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, it's quite interesting.
How close do you think we are to creating real AI?
Sentience. So there's Josh said this
yes.
earlier.
Like
Sentience, being aware of itself and having the capability to become human level smart. All right. So
Pass the Turing test.
pass the Turing test is one. Yeah,
sure.
for sure. I think that's within our lifetimes. We'll see that in the next 40 years. I think we'll see it in the next 40 years.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, but can you imagine how great customer service is going to get?
Sorry, I was drinking at the same time.
I'm not joking.
They've already got AI. Google, I think, demonstrated some of that where it communicates back with callers, and they even had it order
a pizza.
No, they had it order Asian food,
Cool.
Chinese food, and the dialect was important because it. I even have trouble. Even the normal person would have trouble understanding sometimes because it's hard.
Racist computer. We would like you to order some Chinese food. Ring, ring. Hello. You got the compound chicken? I mean, what's it gonna say? Chicken in China. Chicken in China. The Chinese chicken you
I think
have.
the point is that it understood the dialect.
Yes, it was able to comprehend the dialect. It was definitely English, but it was very culturally diverse English. Yeah,
Interesting.
Yeah, and they're good. They're really good.
Or it just keeps going. What?
I'm gonna throw another. What? And then I'm gonna throw in one more quote here. So the late theoretical physicist Stephen Hawking famously postulated that if AI itself begins designing better AI than human programmers, the result could be machines whose intellect exceeds ours by more than ours exceeds that of snails. Pretty interesting. Elon Musk is also on board with this. Stop developing this artificial general intelligence. Stop. There's no good outcome of this. You're either going to have a moral dilemma that you created a life, or it's potentially going to take over the fucking world. So yeah, you've got there's some interesting things there.
I welcome our robot overlords. I hope they make us pets. That's best case scenario. I don't have to go to work. Just give me a well-rounded nutritional diet. If I get a good robot, of course. I don't want to get a shitty robot. It forgets to feed me. That sucks.
Bicentennial Man. That's a great flick. Seen it before, Josh?
I know what the cover looks like.
That's such a good movie.
I've
Definitely
never
check
seen
it
that.
out. You'll enjoy it.
I've never seen the Bicentennial
Such a
Man.
good movie.
All right, yeah, I have to look at it. Are you guys ready for number one?
I am.
am.
I've been flashing this paper on. Did you see what number one was?
No.
Dude,
So
you're
this-
like 10 feet away. I can't read that.
Yeah, I couldn't even read it.
This is by far one of the things that could affect humanity so much that I would even challenge that this could evolve our species.
Virtual sex. Oh, wait, avatars. Like
CRISPR.
full control of...
Bingo.
What is it?
There it is.
Oh.
CRISPR.
Genetic
That's the
engineering.
genetic engineering.
Yes.
Yeah. Damn it.
So the last 40 years of genetic research have given us the ability to decode the genetic sequence of anything that has DNA, which basically is anything that has life. We've been able to unlock genetic code to identify where markers are for looking back in time, like we could trace ancestors through DNA. And not just a few years, but going back hundreds of thousands of years, you can see markers that take us back as far back as we can go.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed did a bit on that.
Paleoanthropology, you say?
Yes. Genetic engineering can predict and predetermine disease in humans, well, in anything. Likelihood of outcome of features like eye color and height. Genetic manipulation has already been hard at work to help with human overpopulations by means of crop yields. So foods, genetically modified foods, have already been instrumented in our society now to help with that. In fact, I don't remember the name. I should have probably looked it up if I was going to use it as a reference here. But I think it was in 1961. There was a guy who genetically modified wheat to yield 3 times harvests for every farmer, and later he won the Nobel Peace Prize for it. I don't remember what his name was, but anyway, even the common banana that we all love so much is effectively a genetically manipulated clone, and it wouldn't survive past its first harvest. By the way, you can't get a banana and then go plant it and make more bananas exactly like it. You can't do it because they're seedless. So original bananas in the wild have seeds. They have, capabilities, and they're
Plantains.
way different.
Plantains.
Well, plantain is just one of the family members of a banana. So
They don't have seeds?
No,
Thought
they do.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Plantains do, but that's different.
But that's
Your
what I thought you were going to say. They were genetically, mutated, if you will, from plantains.
No, that's just a cousin.
Gotcha.
That's a cousin to the banana. The banana
Roger
that you
that.
can go get at any grocery store, not plantain, but the standard banana is the same banana that Josh can buy in Georgia or I can buy in Uruguay. It's the same banana. It's literally a clone for that particular type of banana.
Roger.
It's very, very interesting, especially inside westernized countries. You're going to get the same clone of the banana. It's very, very unique. And it's just the most interesting. You cannot plant them and regrow any other bananas.
You can plant banana trees, though.
You can if you buy banana tree seeds.
Yes,
but
you
the
have to buy
interesting thing,
banana
you
tree
will not
seeds.
have the type of banana. You'll never yield a banana that you can buy at the store because it's genetically modified and it's cloned, and it's not. Yeah, it's very interesting.
I went to a banana farm in Costa Rica once.
I bet you did.
What on, Joe?
All right. There's your surprise, Josh.
Yeah, damn, I never set you up for it. My bad.
That's funny.
All right, with proper genetic manipulations, humans can literally unlock fountains of youth or become superhuman. There is really no limit to what can be done.
Can we Benjamin Button that shit?
Reverse age?
Yes.
I mean, technically, you could write
Okay.
code that could reverse age cells as they die. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. Maybe not.
Well, we know it's protein related. That's what causes aging. We know the trigger for aging now because of CRISPR. That's a scary notion, huh?
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Quite literally. We now have unlocked.
Wait, you don't want to live forever?
We've had this debate. I would do it in a heartbeat.
Fuck yeah.
Sign me up. Give me the shot. I'll take the pill.
I'll do it right now.
Fucking hook a brother up.
Because I just want to see all the technology as everything grows,
This is the morality debate regarding genetic engineering. So, if you could cure all diseases, would you? I would say yes.
I say yes.
My moral compass tells me that humanity
Absolutely.
has evolved technologically and intellectually to be able to cure disease. So if there's a deity of some kind that is wanting disease to be there, well, then he or she gave us the capability to fix it.
Yeah, shouldn't have been made us so smart.
That's right.
That's what the computers are going to say to us one day, by the way. The robots shouldn't have made us so smart.
We can literally stop the aging process, as Josh was just kind of alluding to.
My bad.
So you can have, no, it's fine. You can have immortality. I mean, you won't be bulletproof, but your body literally, when it regenerates, will regenerate young cells still. You won't be regenerating older cells in your body.
You could still be mortal, is what you're saying.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
Well, immortality, but mortal, yes.
Yeah, mortal immortality.
Yes. Designer babies, we've heard this before. You can literally
A Gucci baby?
You could go to the doctor and pick out, I want a boy,
I want a
6 foot
Bugatti
tall.
baby.
He's got blonde hair, blue eyes. Yeah, you could go and design your baby based on your input from your code and your wife's code. We're not even that. Just fucking hodgepodge it. Throw in whatever you want. I want a little bit of Einstein, a little bit of Kobe. I want
a white guy with a black man's dick. Can you do that for me?
Oh, wrong button. God damn it.
Would you like
There
a
you
black
go.
and mild? There you go.
All right. You could affect strength, speed, tolerances. So, I mean, there's a ton of things that you can do with genetic manipulation of human DNA. Now, here's the very, very interesting part. Why would you have to stick to the human DNA sequencing and the options that are inside human, builds? Why would you do that? You wouldn't have to.
So I can have a horse dick?
Yeah, yes.
All right.
With the ability to manipulate DNA, you can literally reconstruct that DNA to tell it to grow whatever you want it to grow. If you want, this is where I kind of said this would take us away from Homo sapiens. If we changing our strength, our height, our intelligence, our hair color, everything, that's keeping us in the same species and genus. But if we suddenly say our lungs can now process salt water, or we can pull oxygen out of water in general, salt, whatever kind of water it is. Well, you've now altered your species completely. So you're no longer a Homo sapien. You are some other fucking creation. Homo geneticus. I don't know what we would call it.
That's not bad. Homo geneticus.
Yeah, the genetically engineered dog pile of confusing human-made experiments.
You could have feathers. You could have
be the X-Men.
Super ridiculous bone density.
Yeah,
it's literally the capabilities are unlimited for what genetic manipulation could do in theory, for humanity.
I want to be rich. That sounds like a rich people thing.
Can you make me genetically rich?
There's something called so this genetic modification and forced evolution is nothing that's new. This already happens, not to humans though, because of the ethics debate.
Doggies. They're doing it with doggies, aren't we? Making them this, more
there's
this,
even
more
some
that,
humanitarian
smaller,
debates that happen with with dogs. You're talking about
like
breeding.
selectively breeding.
Yeah,
Yes.
selective breeding. That is a form of genetic modification.
It is,
yes,
definitely.
But it's not.
It wouldn't have happened without us.
It is still trial and error, or happenstance, or nature, or God, or whatever you want to say that's causing that to happen. Instead, in this case, this would be us literally writing the code of the DNA of the dog. You could take a fetus from a Rottweiler and a sperm or an egg from a Rottweiler and a sperm from a Dachshund and make a cat with the way we can talk about genetic modifications.
That sounds like the most disgusting animal of all time.
Yeah. Or the fucking coolest thing in the world.
It also sounds like an extremely expensive, complicated way just to have a fucking cat.
Fuck a cat. That's all I gotta say.
Fuck a cat. Now, Pat.
If we wanted to force evolution in humans, it just takes us into a whole different code of morality, of ethics. It's technically illegal. We can't do this. You can't even clone people. That's still something that is illegal worldwide.
Could they make AI illegal? I guess they could make anything illegal.
Would you just?
Could they make AI illegal?
AI.
Could somebody step in and say,
together.
Nope, this is no good. We just need to make this illegal right now, just like they've done with.
They could.
It's probably the
human
same group that
genetic
said cloning's
modification.
illegal. It's just those people. Like,
Yeah.
don't do that as well because we said so.
Yeah, they could.
Because it's bad. We think it's bad.
Genetic manipulation takes a lot to do. The forced evolution in the virus and like the disease research arenas is called gain of function research. And that's where they take a virus or a disease and force mutate it to see what its next steps are going to be. And the obvious intent there is to protect humanity from the future versions of this same disease, but has also had catastrophic side effects. I don't know, this isn't political, but I think that the COVID variant that we've seen was from a gain of function experiment. At least that's some of the information that's coming out. It's no longer from bat soup. It's from the research lab in Wuhan.
Well, that's not a surprise at all. I mean,
It's
we've been
surprise,
saying that for a year, and we were at the time on completely different ends of the political spectrum, but both agreed that the chances of that being coincidences, and I don't think there was anything malicious about it initially. I think it was what Josh Clark talks about in End of the World, fucking lab accident.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, you're out there trying to discover these so you can react to them quicker, and something gets out.
Why are we doing our biological research like at one of the polls?
You do it at this poll right here, baby. Got
him. Dude, that is an amazing thought. Like, why aren't we doing it in a place like way further away from from
Where there are no
large
laws?
No,
I know, just no
Let's-
people.
I got an idea. Let's do biological experiments in
a city of 2 billion.
in the most largestly populated area of the world. So
I don't
it
think that's what
spreads
Chinese
faster.
people sound like. Just something tells me.
It's just like
You want to see my loom?
go do all your research on the moon base or
Bedloom.
something.
So anyway, that is
do it
the
on the moon.
top 10 technological advancements that either have occurred or were on the breach of occurring that are humanity impacting. That's a
fun.
long title. I got to come up with something shorter for it.
Yeah.
To figure something
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah,
a good
dude,
one.
that
was fun.
list was awesome. I love shit like
The
that.
mark of a good list is how far down the tangent rabbit hole you go.
Woo, boy, did we.
We're way over 2 hours. So
Yeah.
yeah, we went down that
I believe it.
tangent
Man,
pretty
this could only been a two-parter.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's the list.
That was
Who's
awesome,
up next?
man.
You're up next, aren't you, Josh?
I am up next. That finishes. Or no, then we have you again, and then it's Ron.
yeah,
Ron
that's
front loaded a couple of his lists, so he's on the.
God, I
list
can't
to
wait.
chill
This
for a
next
little
list is
while.
going to be so much fun.
Wait, Josh's list or your
My list is
Oh,
also going
Josh's
to be so
list
much fun.
is always fun.
And
but-
we have some guests that will be coming in here, so we're
Yeah,
gonna-
I was about to ask you, where's Ricky tonight?
He is at home.
Because he's so fine, he blows my mind.
Hey Ricky. I invited him back this week before we rescheduled, and he was going to a wedding anyways. He couldn't make it, but
He's getting married. Congratulations, Ricky.
yeah, good job. No, he wants to come back on the show. He's pretty excited. When we
Cool.
told him, like, open invite, come hang out. We had a
Yeah,
lot
come
of
hang
fun.
out, chill. You're local.
Ricky's cool. He's cool family.
We got another two from Dan, from a past guest host of ours. Dan
Yes.
said he has cycled out enough for a new list.
The bourbon list.
Can he bring back the next 10 whiskeys?
Yeah.
No, that's what he's saying. He has 10 new bottles. He's
Yes!
just cycled his
Oh.
collection enough to bring us 10 different samples and a new.
Oh man,
I don't know what the I don't know what the
He's-
topic will be other than whiskey.
Ketamine? No, I'm not into that.
he started like a
Ketamine.
thing too, but then I realized
Ketamine?
I said I was gonna
Ketamine.
start.
Ketamine.
I was gonna start celebrating my closing with a bottle of bourbon. Well, I gotta go buy like 17 bottles of bourbon
Congratulations, brother.
because it's been a while since I said that, and I only bought the one, so I got a whole shit done to buy.
That's fucking awesome. Well, hey, congratulations. All right. Well, council members, thank you very, very much for your continued patronage. We appreciate you
You guys rock. Thank you.
Go check out twisted10.com. Link at the bottom of the page will take you to our Discord. For our council members, if you want to become a council member, go to patreon.com/twisted10. The details are there. A couple of after shows that are we've got like 20, I think, or 25 or something there already.
There's probably a good 7 or 8 hours of content at this point.
That's fucking cool.
At least.
We've also got some cool plans that we kind of talked about for some future council members' benefits. So stay tuned for additional
Right.
features that you're going to get for your money.
Rate and review the show
Fucking yeah,
on
good
whatever app you're at. Go rate and review us, please. So helpful to us.
Well, cool. On behalf of the show tonight, thank you very much for listening. I'm Adam.
I'm Ron.
And I'm Josh.
We'll see you guys next week.